All right, here we go. Welcome to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? I'm Rich CELENZA. I'm with one of my close friends, Victor Scumaci. Try to say that name. So Victor Scumaci owns a very popular hot dog and beef, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, you'd say the name. I don't want to screw it up. You know how that
Doug's
goes.
Dogs in Oak Forest.
Nice. So he's on the south side of Chicago, basically, suburbs.
Yep.
So what I want to get in today is, well, first I want to say one of the things I want to tell Victor is I met Victor later in life. He's one of my close friends now, and when we met, we really hit it off because I think we had so many things in common.
Right.
One of the things is we have an obsession for Italian food.
Yes,
Would you
we
say?
do.
But the thing between, one thing I realized between the two of us, which is ridiculous, Victor can cook, correct?
Yes.
You can bartend.
Yes.
You know how to make coffees?
Yes.
Anything related really to food, you can do.
Yes.
And I do nothing. Except eat
That's
it.
made in heaven.
No, but we're always talking about food and all these different things. And I realized being friends with Victor over the years is I have really no talents at all. And I always found myself hanging out with chefs, bartenders. And it was probably because of the environment I was raised in with my father, owning nightclubs, restaurants, and my mother working in the restaurant industry, being a cook herself. But I don't know why I'm such a lazy piece of shit that I've never learned how to do anything, really. It's kind of embarrassing. But let's get into your dog thing. So tell us a little bit how you ended up even buying this business.
So my life story you want then, huh? So I'll keep it to food.
I get it. Yeah, no, whatever how did you start like being obsessed with food? You started cooking and then ended up with your own hot dog joint. And
right.
And then I want to get into, not to interrupt you, I want to get into what the complications you're going, challenging, like other people in the same industry, which would actually include my family members, the Bono Beefs. We're related to the Bono Velatos, and they have a chain of Italian beef hot dog sandwich shops along with Portillo's. So Victor is challenging, I guess you could say, the franchise element now with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So, again, you can tell by my name, Italian. Both my parents always cooked, but like my dad was more the person that me and my brothers all kind of followed with regards to food and just took a passion to it. And I started in fast food. In Bridgeport, at a place called Laura's, which is no longer there, at 14 years of age. Just fell in love with the business at that point.
And this is when you lived in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
So Victor's from Bridgeport, which if you don't know anything about Chicago, it's near Taylor Street, but it's not far off the city. What would you say?
Right by White Sox Park.
Yeah, it's right by, if you know Old Chicago, Old Comiskey, or White Sox Park now, it's right over there.
Yep.
So the north and south side of Chicago, he's on the south. So, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just, again, passion, just always love cooking. Go to friends' parties, I take over the grill, and I'm grilling for everybody. And as you got older, and it became, I became the bartender for every party. And just had that passion for food all through my life, and helped a lot of friends open up their places. And then eventually started doing it for myself. And I opened up Scumaci's in June of 2001 in Orland Park. And I had that for 5 years. And, then I was out of the business for a little bit, got back into it now with Doug's Dogs. I took that over in December of 2016. That was an established hot dog stand on the south side. And, I've had that since. And just love being in the food business. It's, I like feeding people. So it's just my forte. It works for me.
And he does... You cater, obviously,
catering,
as well.
Yep.
And you have the little hot
full
dog
Italian
stand.
catering. You got a portable hot dog cart.
Yeah, the portable
parties.
hot dog
Yeah,
cart.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, what's interesting is when I met Victor, we ended up working together. And what was really funny is one of my oldest and closest friends, he worked with downtown. Was it at the Merc?
Yep.
The merchandise market, not merchandise.
Mercantile Exchange.
The mercantile exchange, exactly.
Yep.
So you were a trader down there, right?
Yep.
And my buddy was as well. And it was funny because I told my close buddy, I said, I met, somebody from Bridgeport. We all know the same people and blah, blah, blah. He's like, who is it? And I said, it's Victor. He's like, what the F are you talking about? I love Victor. Victor was known, and I remember hearing about him as being the nicest man on the entire floor, I would say. Being the most respectful, nicest, generous. I mean, the reputation that Victor has it's probably the opposite of mine. Publicly, I don't know. But people all knew when I started to hang out with Victor more. It was funny that people already thought we were friends our whole life, but we really weren't necessarily. But we hung out with a lot of the same people because I was in Taylor Street a lot. Him being in Bridgeport, he kind of came in and out of Taylor Street, right?
Yeah, with high school, because I went to high school there at Ignatius, and I started hanging around with some of the Taylor Street guys, and that was it.
Yeah, and St. Ignatius, that's a beautiful
But I'm just
school.
a little older than you is the problem. Not that it's a problem, but
Yeah.
right, I'm just a couple years older than you, so,
Right. A lot of our family are relatives. I think this will be too loud. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
The air conditioning kicked on. We don't give a shit. It's too hot right now. So hopefully the audio will be fine. But a lot of our family members being Catholic and Italians, we all went to Catholic schools. I went to St. Joseph in Westchester. He went to St. Ignatius. A lot of kids from Taylor Street. Where'd they go to? St. Rita? Lawrence was Southside.
Lawrence was South, yes.
Yeah, Marist, all that.
Yeah.
So now let's get back to what was I going to ask you? It kind of jumped out of my head, and then I'm back and forth. Let me have a sip of coffee so I can think about this with your dogs.
About the hot dogs, beef sandwiches, and such.
Now you with marketing. Now we both grew up eating beefs and sausage in Chicago, hot dogs, everything.
So much.
Yeah. When the thing was originally that was like an independent thing. It was kind of like against the grain. So there was McDonald's, which our corporate headquarters is in Oak Brook, Illinois. You kind of went to. I don't mind McDonald's. I actually like McDonald's. But growing up, our family members would go to Italian beef joints. So even though Portillo's, I would say, is the most famous right now, they really weren't what they were in the 80s and 90s.
No,
I used to go to them in western suburbs because my aunt and uncle lived near one of the original Portillos. So I was going there at 8, 9 years old. But a lot of people would go to, like, say, Taylor Street. Victoria's originally.
Yep.
That was the original. I think Mr. Beef, obviously, in New Orleans, we'd go to. I lived in Melrose, so there were other beef stands there. We had Carm's Beef. What else?
Johnny's,
and then my family members started Bono Beef in Berwyn. And that's probably the second biggest beef franchise, what you say?
I'd say, now. Yep, they've really grown.
Yeah, they really took off in the catering. So our family loved food so much they started to get into the beef business as well. But it was kind of more independent. And now recently Portillo's sold for what, like $1 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah, Portillo's is located. If you've never had Portillo's, we love it. I mean, I had it yesterday, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
There's a couple in Arizona, there's a couple in California, a couple in Florida. Now I don't know how many out throughout Chicago.
I don't even know that number anymore now.
I don't know either, but kind of Victor's kind of like the old school type hot dog joint, wouldn't you say? Like how they originally started. They were family-owned operations, a lot of them, like Joe, or Dick Portillo, right?
Right, yep.
And my buddy went to high school with his son at Northern Illinois. So, and like I said, my family members are the Bono Beef. So I grew up always kind of involved, even with their corporate headquarters being in Berwyn, going there all the time. So what do you, after saying all that, what do you think you're going to be your challenge now? Like, how are you going to be able to kind of go heads up with these guys and survive?
It's hard. So, like I said, I am old school where I am strictly a carry out. I don't even have any dining for customers. So it's hard to beat,
Kind of like Parky's in Oak Brook, right?
Right, exactly.
Like the original.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with them. So, when they're corporate, their pricing and everything, they could be more competitive than we can be.
Sure.
Because, they're working on I'm working on such small margins compared to the big guys.
Right.
So again, everything, it's always an uphill climb. You want to always have your customer service. I don't have a drive-through. Even if people, you go to Portillo's, right? You go if you go in or go to the drive-through, you're still waiting. But people, they don't have that mindset of, I have to wait 10, 15, even 20 minutes to get lunch. Where by me, you walk in, if I don't get your order and I'm not working on it in 2 minutes time, people are ready to leave. It's like, where's the misconception about what you're getting for your time and stuff, So if you have a half-hour lunch break, how do you go to Portillo's? But you could still come to me. But it's a tough market, and it's hard to market. You know,
Yeah.
it's I can't. Hopefully, one day I can have my own app where people could pre-order and things like that. You know,
Yeah, right.
but it's hard because again, I don't have the kind of budgets they have for marketing and campaigning and customer retention and all
Right.
that stuff. It's so there's so many parts of it. So.
Yeah, and if I think, remember like Luke's Beef, hypothetically, in south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like they had a catch because they would do a 50s, 60s, 70s type car thing, remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of these beef places that were independent, they all kind of had little cool things that you'd go there for, even...
Gimmicks, yeah.
Yeah, like even Duke's, what's that? They're open till like 4 in the morning.
Right.
So like certain beef joints would be open almost all night, so you'd go there for that reason. Then the other one had a car show, and then the other one would, whatever the case may be known for whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of so saturated, but I think more and more people are going towards the Portillo's route just because the consistency, they know what they're going to spend. They also jumped into, let's face it, they jumped into ribs, they jumped into pastas, they jumped into salads. Not only desserts, beer, it became a one-stop shop. Yeah, one-stop shop. Because when we grew up, you even had hot dog joints that didn't even do beefs, or beefs that didn't do dogs sometimes even.
Right.
I worked at Rocky's. It was kind of a mob-owned joint in Melrose Park growing up, but I did work at a pizzeria place called Rocky's in Melrose. It was awesome. So they did pizzas in the back, and then they did beefs and sausage and dogs in the front. That's where I worked. That was the only time I really cooked or did anything like that, and I didn't realize how hard the work was related to that. Yeah, that was crazy. So I tip my hat off to you. You guys work so damn hard. I mean, I don't think people even acknowledge how much work goes into even making hot dogs, beef, burgers, all that, in the speed of having to do it.
Right. So if you're McDonald's, most of it's automated nowadays. The
Right.
equipment's crazy. It's everything is made when you come in, pretty much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have stuff. I don't have food pre-made. It all has to be made when the customer comes. How do you pre-cook a burger? McDonald's,
Sure.
they microwave that stuff.
Of course.
Micro oven it, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I can't do that, nor do I want to do that. But so there's something that you get by going to the little guy that you don't get when you go to the big guy. So
Right.
you get a little more, to me, a little more. I know you say about consistency, sure, because how things are done. But for me to have my consistency, I have the same workers cooking the food day and night.
Sure.
So there's not 12 people touching the grill. There's one person on the grill from
Right.
open to close every day, so that everything that comes out of there is the same every day. Where on the corporate side, the machines are making it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean,
it's
the
all
fries,
pre-made,
everything-
even
it's
Taco
pre-made,
Bell. It's
you're right.
pre-made, microed, and it's assembly line.
and it's set to a timer too. So there's no overcooking, no under. It's
Right.
it's set to a timer. So, and there's something to be said for it. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
it just you can't compete. You can't compete with the big boys in that level at all. So you hope that people just try to still look at small business and and understand what it means. To
Absolutely.
to buy and eat that way. So
Yeah, what I always found quite interesting, because I'm all over North America all the time, and I'm trying all different foods.
sorry about that.
That's all right. Is what's the one thing I was going to say? It's regarding like the beef stand, or the beef sandwich, or the Chicago style hot dog or whatever. Not a lot of people really do it correctly, but it's funny how you got Philly does the Philly cheese, let's say, or everybody has their own specialty. I'm not
Sure.
going to start getting into that, but it's interesting how, like, say, Portillo's, they really never expanded what I thought they would expand to either. And I don't know if that's because of consistency, but the restaurants seem to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like where, in turn, McDonald's, say, they were kind of one size, and they just branched out and started opening them everywhere.
Right.
I always found that interesting, because I think a beef sandwich with jardinera is probably the best tasting sandwich I've ever had in the world. And I've eaten sandwiches everywhere. Would you?
Right. No matter what kind of sandwich, exactly. I would go back to that as well. And
Yeah.
I love tasting people's variations on them. Of course,
Yeah.
if how they make them, what they add to their gravy, that they use, the different jardiniers. Like I said, you could go to
Absolutely.
100 Portillos, but the jardinier could taste different every one because
Yes.
peppers are grown. Some are hotter than others, so there's always gonna be a little variation. But I think that's hands down the best sandwich you could ever eat.
Yeah.
And sweet peppers, hot peppers, mozzarella cheese, garlic bread, you name it, it just changes it. You could, not that you're going to, right? But you could almost eat one every day because it's a different sandwich every day.
It is delicious. You could do so many things with it too. Yeah, where sausage is sausage. So I just had Brooklyn. You can even get Brooklyn sausage sandwiches now in Orlando. And then I was just in New York, and you can, even the dogs. I'm not a hot dog eater anymore, but I don't care if it's Nathan's or. It's the way you kind of prepare the dog, really. It's the ingredients that go on top of it. But nothing's like a beef sandwich.
Right.
In my opinion. It's the juices, the flavors. It just kind of melts in your mouth. It's like a...
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people, too, that travel to Chicago think an Italian beef was kind of like made in Italy. It's a Chicago-based sandwich. Italy has nothing to do
with it. Yeah.
And I tell people a lot of times, because this guy in Canada was just asking me the other day regarding different... areas and all these things with food. And I said, you got to realize when you hear of Italian food in Chicago, that's really, I'm not saying a lot of it didn't stem from Italy, but it's not really how Italy eats or a lot of their foods, right?
Right.
You know that as well as I do.
Yes.
It's Chicago Italian style food, very similar to New York. I'd say Boston, in my opinion, is the closest to being authentically, that tries to stay on par with Italy. I even think parts of Canada, sometimes San Francisco, because you have that seafood element.
Right.
Chicago doesn't have that.
Right.
So, Victor ended up it's kind of the meat business, right? Beef, sausage, burgers.
Yeah.
Chicago really is geared around meat. That's why we're the most obese city in the world. So, yeah, that's it. I just wanted you guys to meet Victor. Anything else regarding your dog stand over there? Dog, beef?
If you're ever in town.
Did you tell him the address yet? I don't trust you.
No. 6200 West 159th Street in Oak Forest. Dogs.
Yeah, just say it again.
6200 West 159th Street, Oak Forest.
Yeah, so if you come into Midway Airport, I tell people if you're coming to Chicago to visit Chicago, come in Midway. Try to stay away from O'Hare. Midway's a lot closer. A lot of times you can find better prices, actually.
Absolutely.
And you could go visit his joint. It's not too far. How far is it from there?
It's probably about 20 to 25 minutes south.
Yeah.
Pretty much due south from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it.
Not bad at all.
We're going to do another podcast. I haven't surprised him and told him what it's about. It's not something dirty or anything like that.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly. We just had lunch together, and I just said, hey, we're going to do a podcast. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? So I definitely want to get Victor on here. If you know, a lot of people I know that I hung with over the years know Victor. My mom, my friends, everybody loves Victor all over the place. He's famous in Chicago for being a nice person. He makes everybody, I always say you make everybody else feel and look like an asshole. And we were going to do Freddy's, one of our favorite restaurants.
Yes.
Too, in Cicero, we all grew up eating. I don't know if you ever had a chance to check out Freddy's. It's amazing, too. Different. They don't do dogs. They do a beef sandwich. Did you ever do their beef there?
Everything is good there.
It's unbelievable. I haven't had a beef there, though, in years. Anyways. All right, we're going to wrap it up there if you want. You can also check out my YouTube channel. It's just my name, Rich CELENZA. Where else am I? I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have a program out called Mastering Self-Confidence. It's to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. And I'm sitting here looking at Victor's puppy. Look at how cute this puppy is. All right, that's it. If you're traveling, safe travels.